got to swing past the Marco Rubios of the world. It's got to swing into the conservative wing of the party to regain footing in order for us to go into this new future that President Obama's been talking about, which made me think of Tomorrowland from Disney World. There's going to be flying cars and technology up the yin-yang and all these things that we got to be prepared for. Back to the Future is going to happen, Russ. The Cubs will win.
All right, so let's now that we're there.
I went too far there. I know, Cub fans. Sorry.
So now that we're there, though, so you mentioned who it has to go past. You didn't mention who is out there in that wing of this party.
Okay, so let's do it. Trump.
So you got Trump
the leader.
out there. You got
Cruz is out there. I would say Rand Paul is out there on the conservative wing.
Oh, he's out there, all right.
I would say Rick Santorum's out there on the conservative wing, though he's not getting enough traction. I'd say Mike Huckabee is out there on the conservative wing. I think he's very strong when it comes to foreign policy. If you ever listen to him talk about it.
Well, let's not make our listeners happy, or maybe this will make them happy. We're going to scratch off all the last ones you mentioned because they don't count. So it's just Cruz and Trump are the last two left that are still out there in the conservative wing that have a chance of winning.
I am the typical and quintessential undecided voter. How dare you limit my choices?
I am throwing them off like Fox is throwing them off to the main debate stage. They're not going to make it. Some of them aren't even going to make the secondary debate stage. Let's stop talking about that.
Third debate stage now?
Let's talk about Trump and Cruz for a minute.
So this is outside the arena.
This is why. This is where I think the battle really is, and I think it's an important case study for you political junkies out there. Cruz and Trump, you can argue that they're both the most conservative in the race. I will argue that Trump's not even really that conservative, to be honest.
Cruz is the most conservative in the race, bar none.
Correct. Now, Trump is very careful to stick to the issues where he is conservative on, or right, far right on.
Immigration.
Most economic issues, I would argue that Trump is pretty far to the right on. There's not many more. I mean, military spending, he wants to make the military the greatest.
I think saying I'm going to bomb the out of them is pretty...
Well, here's
much in line with what conservatives want.
And this is where I wanted to get to. So you got a guy like Cruz who, on the issues where Trump is to the right, or actually conservative, Cruz is just as conservative. But Cruz will never say the things that Donald Trump is willing to say. I will bomb the S out of them. I'm going to build a wall and make the Mexicans pay for it. There's a whole host of things that Donald Trump has said.
Well, that's a matter of bombacity versus... bombacity, I should say. I screwed up that word. That's a matter of the pomp and circumstance that is Donald Trump, the branding of Donald Trump, the presentation of Donald Trump. You can't fault Cruz for the difference in presentation.
Correct. And in any other year, any other cycle, Cruz would be palatable. But a guy like Donald Trump is the answer to a Barack Obama. The pendulum has swung so far that we need to ram it up there, you-know-what. And Donald Trump is that guy.
One of the commenters in our chat room... and by the way, we run a live chat during all of our live shows on Spreaker, Tuesdays at 10 p.m.-ish. One of our commenters in the chat room put it perfectly. Terry said, people like Trump's I don't give a you-know-what badassery. That is what separates him from Cruz, is what you were saying. Now, how does that play in when it comes to the ballot box? Because right now, Cruz is surging in Iowa. He's going to start making his move in New Hampshire. Trump has been the leader. Let's put it this way. Trump has done something that nobody in the 2012 cycle ever did. Hold and maintain the attention of the American people to the tune of holding a lead in the polls from when we started back in August with these debates to present. Give the man credit for that. He's held the attention, and the attention has only grown as it's gone forward. Now, let's compare that. Let's bring this full circle for a second, Russ. Let's compare that to what we heard today in the chambers of Congress. Do you think that the American people believed anything that this man was telling them about the economy being better? About the accomplishments of renewable energy under his administration? Or are they believing Donald Trump in the same way that they believed Obama back in 2008? Donald Trump may be the new Obama in this election because he's tapped into something that the American people really feel a need for. And that is the anger and frustration that Obama has created despite his rose-colored glass outlook on life.
Well, yes, right, and Donald Trump is a populist. He's wearing a conservative costume right now, which is great for us. but he's a populist.
That's the best way to put it, I think. He's very good.
When you sit with your friends in a bar or, just hanging out, they talk a lot like Donald Trump talks. He is relating to people. He is going to have crossover appeal for Democrats. What makes me laugh, Gene, is this. And I see one of our good friends in the chat room tonight. She often says, this woman I'm talking about, about growing the party and outreach and attracting minorities.
And calling them undocumented and not illegal. Yes.
Well, whatever. She has a whole host of things. But what makes me laugh is a guy like Donald Trump is actually doing that. He's actually increasing participation in the Republican Party from groups that don't normally. He's going to be competitive in states where we're not normally competitive in. Minorities are going to vote for, if Donald Trump is a nominee, they're going to vote for Republicans in numbers not seen in recent history. And yet somehow this is a bad thing. And I wish that we can get, our friend to call in, or anyone to call in who can shed some light on this and tell me why a guy like Donald Trump is a bad thing. Because these very same people would say Ted Cruz is a bad thing.
And by the way, if you want to call in, we'll open the phone lines up for you. 718-395-BEL1. That's 718-395-2351. If you want to talk to us live, we'll be glad to talk to you tonight. The night of the State of the Union, the final State of the Union, by President Obama. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll be going further in depth into the speech, a couple more takes from me and Russ on what was said, and we'll juxtapose what we're seeing to what we'll see from the next President of the United States, who will be a Republican. We can pretty much guarantee you that. Gene and Russ, Behind Enemy Lines, will be back right after these brief words.
I'm Vito.
And I'm Vito. And we're from WNJC's The Vito and Vito Show.
Every Friday at 1 p.m., you can hear Vito and Vito bring you the perspectives of two college-age millennial conservatives who are committed to defending the principles of free markets, liberty, freedom, and individualism from Brooklyn, New York.
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Vito and Vito Show. And check out our blog posts and articles at VitoandVito.com.
Vito and Vito Show every Friday, 1 p.m. on WNJC 1360 AM, Philadelphia's Renaissance Station. In Brooklyn,
it's nothing but the truth.
There's a movement in healthcare today. It's a movement of people that's ready to stand up and take charge of their healthcare. It's people like you and me who are tired of paying too much for healthcare and getting too little. People who are standing up for their values and letting their conscience make decisions based on timeless principles. It's a movement that's sweeping the nation, and you need to be a part of it. Liberty HealthShare is leading the movement of people who are looking for an alternative to traditional health insurance. Liberty HealthShare is a healthcare sharing organization of people who are sharing the cost of healthcare in an easy and efficient way. Choose your own doctor, your own hospital, and live out your values in healthcare. Join the movement. Together, we're changing healthcare for good. Go to www.joinlhs.com or call 800-722-8041.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save.
Your friend, teacher, boss.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of
your neighbor, the waiter, grandmother, grandfather.
So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you.
Your wife, your colleague.
Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Behind Enemy Lines. Back on the air. Gene and Russ, back behind enemy lines. And Russ, challenge was accepted during the commercial break, because on the line with us right now. It is our pleasure to bring onto the show right now, our Behind Enemy Lines correspondent in D.C., regular contributor to the show, professional lobbyist, and our resident rhino.
Hack.
And our resident rhino, and our good friend, Amanda Kohut. How you doing, Amanda?
Hey, guys. How are you? I mean, Russ, the challenge accepted, but you're bringing me in here after I've had a couple of scotches for the night. like you were waiting for me to be at my weak point.
Did you play the Obama drinking game? Is that what you did?
I can neither confirm or deny, or since I deal with Congress, I'm just going to say I reserve my right to plead the fifth.
Okay, so we'll just leave it at that. All right, so Russ, you laid out the challenge. Lay it out again so that Amanda can answer it.
So, yeah, since we came back from a break, for those of you guys who just joined us, lots of people, rhinos mostly, say that what the Republican Party really needs to do is to moderate its views and to, attract more people to the Republican Party, the big tent, more minorities, gays, lesbians, the whole host of people. Donald Trump is attracting all kinds of people into the party. He's going to be competitive in so many more states than your typical Republican in a presidential year. And I want to get it from I'm going to call it a rhino, a resident rhino.
Our straw rhino.
Our resident rhino. What's bad about Donald Trump? I know you hate Ted Cruz, so what's bad about Donald Trump? He seems to be exactly what you're describing.
Well, since you spoke about populism, Russ, let's go there for a second. Let me talk to you quickly about my Thanksgiving. At my Thanksgiving dinner, my cousin John came. He is a construction worker. He is a member of a union and a lifelong Democrat. And John told me during Thanksgiving that he was going to be supporting Donald Trump. I was very surprised. And I asked him, what encouraged you to support a Republican? And he said, oh, no, I'm not supporting a Republican. My politics haven't changed. I just like Donald Trump because I like how he speaks. And apparently Trump uses he uses unionized construction workers on his projects. So my concern there, if the Johns of the world are the ones that are coming on board that we're trying to attract, are they coming on board because of the cult of personality of Trump, or are they coming on board because of the Republican message? There is a distinction there, because if they're coming on board for Trump, there's no loyalty there. There's no sustainability. Once Trump's off the ballot, so are those voters. But if they're coming over for the Republican message, those are the people we really want to keep and focus on. And admittedly, we're not going to be able to know what that impact is for a few years. But it's something that you really have to think about in terms of, is he effectively bringing in new voters?
But when people's eyes are on Donald Trump, their eyes are also on the Republican field, especially when you have these monthly debates going on. So you can't really gauge who is there. You know, Trump may get him in the door, but they may stay in the door because of the conservative message from either Trump or other candidates, right, Russ?
Yeah, and I don't care if it's the party or the candidate. I want asses in the seats. Think about it. The Reagan Democrats, they were union people too. And they voted in overwhelming numbers for a guy named Ronald Reagan. They did stick around for quite a while. Donald Trump can attract these people to the party. We're not going to educate people and turn them into Republicans. And if you disagree with that, with me on that, Amanda, I'd like for you to at least explain how you think we're going to educate millions of people to become actual Republicans. Whereas a guy like Donald Trump, if they agree with him on half the things, which me as a conservative Republican, I only agree with him on half of his things, but I'm willing to vote for him. That's true.
That's true bipartisanship.
Bipartisanship. That's true compromise, where he's willing to build a wall and make the Mexicans pay for it and bomb the S out of ISIS. You know what? He can be a proponent of gay marriage or whatever else he wants to be a proponent of. I'll take that and call it a day.
Go ahead, Amanda.
But again, are those butts staying in the seats, Russ, because of the show? Because the whole appeal of Trump is that people are attracted to the show. They love a showman. But the rest of the Republicans out there are not showmen. The only other bombastic one up on that stage is Chris Christie. Do we have an entire bench of Republicans in the mold of Donald Trump to keep those people there?
I see Donald Trump filling 1,000-seat arenas. If you're trying to tell me that he can't get a majority of people to come out and vote the same way that he's been filling these arenas because they want to hear him speak, I'm sorry. I think that defies political logic.
Well, no, she's talking about the longevity of the party, whether these people will stick around.
Okay, no,
my argument is this:
but
Barack Hussein Obama has been in for 7 years and has moved the earth, the heavens and earth. If we can get Donald Trump in there for 8 years, we can reverse most of this and get some stuff accomplished.
To me, political ideology is not a static thing.